you'll remember that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came in, she's from the Bronx in New York. She came in by primarying a very senior House Democrat who she correctly identified was MIA in her district. And she ran on the campaign like, this guy lives in Virginia. He's not drinking our water. He's not sending his kids to our schools. He's not of the Bronx anymore. And she won. She came in as a socialist, as a super left-leaning Democrat. She was helping with sit-ins in Pelosi's office for the Green New Deal. And won, and it was part of what was called, as I'm sure listeners, the Squad, which was this group of young left-leaning members of Congress. What has been interesting over the last 6 years is watching what she's kept about herself, which is, there are certain ways in which her message is the same as it was when she came in. There are certain ways in which she's using the same skills. Like if you watch hearings that she's in, she's so prepared, really knowledgeable, very clearly thinking. This shouldn't be a compliment in Congress, but it is clearly prepared and practicing active listening during the hearings. And there are some ways in which she's become a more mainstream Democrat, where she's learned how to play well with others, or not that she learned how to play well with others, but I think were various moments where she actually got on board with when Pelosi was Speaker. With Pelosi, when more centrist Democrats caused greater problems, she, has come out and endorsed Biden for re-election. In fact, before Biden dropped out, she said, no, he should stay and be the candidate. And I think the transition was really notable last night when she addressed the Democratic National Convention. She did a great job. By any standard, this was a very effective political speech. She spoke for not 90 seconds like she did last time. It was a full speech. Clearly, people realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a once in a generation political talent. We should be giving her some time in the sun. But on the other hand, there were those on the left who were upset because you're here touting the Biden administration's achievements and saying that Harris is working toward a ceasefire. Like, why aren't you being more vocal about Palestinians and Israel's war in Gaza? Why aren't you being more vocal about what hasn't been done on climate? Why aren't you being more vocal about et cetera, et cetera? And so, I think people rightly think that the speech was a stop along the way to being a senator or being a governor or being the president. She clearly is going places in her political career. And it's interesting to think about the places that you have to leave behind in order to reach the places you will go. We should also note that, there are several members of the Squad who are still in office. Ilhan Omar's just won her primary. Rashida Tlaib, who is notable in that she is not as forcefully out for for Harris as some of her fellow Squad members, probably because she's Palestinian American and is horrified by the Biden administration's policy toward the war, and toward Israel and toward Gaza. Others have lost their elections. So Jamal Bowman was primaried successfully. Cori Bush was primaried successfully. These are from New York and St. Louis, respectively. But the idea that the idea that these left-leaning members are not in Congress anymore is not true. What is true, I think, is that they change Congress and Congress also changes them, right? It is true, I think, that if you watched the convention Monday night, it is much more pro-union, pro-labor, critical of unchecked capitalism than the Clinton convention in 2016. So it's not like they didn't change the party. It's not like they're not changing the party. It's not like they're not changing Congress. But being part of the party and being part of Congress changes you too.
Yeah, I think that would be my main question, trying to understand also how it's portrayed for supporters of AOC. Is it the sense that she's done enough? Like, as you said, there are some people asking questions, but I at least from afar, it doesn't seem like those are heavily dogged questions.
Yeah, I think she will lose some Democratic socialists. So the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, I think, she will lose members of the DSA. But she won her primary reelection by like, it was like 80%, like wild numbers this past time. And she got a bigger speaking spot at the DNC. And I do think there's a sense of like, she doesn't need every one of those votes and every one of those people to support her in order to achieve her political goals. You can say that's such a betrayal. You can say, oh, but you should dance with the one who brung you. You can say, remember why you came into office in the first place. I think she would probably say, I am remembering why I came into office in the first place. I'm building power and I'm trying to use it. They might counter for what? She could probably say, like, here's my legislative achievements. Here's what, and back and forth, on and on. But you're right. I think while there are some on the left who are disappointed, her support is growing, not shrinking overall.